All right, well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to the August 3rd, 2021 Hempstead Town Board meeting. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Supervisor Clavin.
Here.
Councilman Blakeman.
Here.
Councilman Carini.
Here.
Councilman D'Esposito.
I'm here.
Councilman Dunn.
Here.
Senior Councilwoman Gooseby. Councilman Muscarella.
Here.
Great. I'm going to ask Councilman Blakeman to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please rise if you're able and join with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Madam Clerk, would you please call the first public hearing on the regulations and restrictions?
Yes, I will, Supervisor. We have a proposed local law regarding regulations and restrictions to limit parking in Belmore, Merrick, and Oceanside.
Okay, first off, does any member of the board wish to be heard on this item? Okay. And I see first we have, speaking on this, slip in Diane Madden. Just remind all residents, when you do speak, if you go to the back podium in that corner back there, that'd be awesome. Thank you so much. Morning, Ms. Madden, if you name and address for the record. Thank you.
Good morning, Supervisor and Board. Diane Madden, Hempstead. I had a question and concern about the fact that virtual comment has been removed as an option for the public to call in for these public hearings. Could someone please explain why that is?
Right now, we're dealing with item number 1. If you have a question regarding that, the town attorney, I'm sure, will be happy to answer that at the end of the meeting. Or Joe, if you want to give everybody a quick heads up on that.
Yes, very simply, the governor's executive orders during the height of the pandemic created the need for access for people who were not able to attend, either because of potential COVID exposure or because they themselves were unable to make it to the actual meeting. We have now, the executive orders have now expired, and we've reverted to our tradition, which is that public hearings, which allow for public participation, require that the people who want to participate attend. You have the option always to email, text, call your councilman and or other members of the town government if you wish as an alternative to attending the board meetings. But if you want to participate in a public hearing, you must attend the board meeting. And that's been the tradition for 400 years.
Oh,
Thank you, Joe.
Okay, so thank you for that answer. I disagree. I mean, I think COVID is still a threat. That's why the Vaxmobile is out there being campaigned on daily. That's why every department, to my knowledge, is still closed. I think that if you have a 400-year tradition, it's time to look at it. Just because you've always done it this way doesn't mean that's how you should do it. And I urge this board to reconsider and reopen the public meeting portion. As you recall, during every meeting, many members of the public, who, by the way, are still not comfortable coming into this pavilion, did call in. So I urge you and propose that you reinstate that option for the public to come in and share their thoughts and participate. Thank you.
Okay, anybody else want to speak on item number 1? Okay, if not, may I please have the clerk call the roll?
Your motion.
Oh, motion, I'm sorry.
I make a motion that the public hearing be closed and we adopt the item.
Second.
Supervisor Clavin.
Aye.
Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman Carini.
Aye.
Councilman D'Esposito.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn.
Aye.
Senior Councilwoman Gooseby.
Aye.
Councilman Muscarella.
Aye.
Okay, Madam Clerk, please call the next item.
We have a proposed local law regarding parking or standing prohibitions in East Meadow, Oceanside, Roosevelt, Seaford, Uniondale, and Woodmere.
Okay, does any member of the board wish to be heard on this item? Okay, I don't have any slips. Anybody in the public want to hear it on item number 2? Like to be, yes, identify your name and address for the record, please.
Hi, first of all, I'm hard of hearing.
Hold on. Guys, can you check the mic? I couldn't hear him. Wait, hold on. We can't hear you. I just want to give it a second so we can hear you, okay? It's on? Okay, if you could can somebody just maybe raise his mic for him so we can hear him? Thanks, guys.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, now I can hear you. Maybe you could speak down a little bit.
You're good.
All right. Listen, my name is Darrell. I'm the This is my first time at this meeting. I am from Roosevelt. Like I said, a lot of people in the community, like the young lady said, we're not aware of any of these meetings. That's why you don't see too many people here at the meeting. I would like to be informed and have information about what's going on in our neighborhood, in our community. The number two, I don't know anything about the proposed prohibiting. So how come we don't have no say-so as a community? And then when I do get in contact with my woman, there was no response. What? Nothing. Just a same email, generated email, said, okay, we'll look into this matter, and then nothing is about taking it. I got here numerous of emails and letters that we have given to all these leaders, representatives for the community, and we have no response. But what I'm here, that's for a later speech that I'm going to talk about, but what I'm here right now is I want to know what is number 2 is about, because it's involved in Roosevelt. I have no idea what is you accepting, what are you not accepting.
Okay, great.
Okay. Would you like for me to explain to him how we go about this, or would you like to do it?
Yes, Tom Reed, representing Traffic Control Division. On item number 2, we have several issues for parking restrictions for either residential streets or for homeowners. The particular one for Roosevelt is to repeal a parking restriction from an old business establishment to open up the parking for the new business establishment that's at that location. And we deal primarily with the property owner when we do the parking restrictions.
Okay. Maybe you have to. Maybe you could take a moment, go to the back room, and give him the address of the location in Roosevelt, because he'd like to know.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, happy to have him with that.
Okay.
I don't know.
And reducing out,
One more thing. Yeah. I don't agree with, I think they should put more restriction parking signs, because people are just parking anywhere, blocking driveways, doing anything. And they've been making it dangerous for people to come down the road if you have too many cars on the street and people can't get through in a residential area.
Right, that'd be something we can discuss in the back.
that's right, and it's something that you could send in to us, and we'll listen to you. And the other problem we have, if each year, okay. All right, but I want him, yeah. But I want you to know that we do send a calendar out each year. You get a calendar from us, and if you follow that calendar, you will see when we have the town board meetings. Okay, so you can contact us, the number's there. People contact me all the time, so I'm sorry that you have not, but you can feel free to do it. All right, and he's going to go and explain to you what we've been doing as far as the parking is concerned in Roosevelt.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming.
Is anybody else here in the audience which should be heard on item number 2? Okay. If not, may I have a motion?
I move that the public hearing be closed and we adopt the item.
Second.
Supervisor Clavin.
Aye.
Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman Carini.
Aye.
Councilman Diaz-Posito.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn.
Aye.
Senior Councilwoman Gooseby.
Aye.
Councilman Muscarella.
Aye.
Madam Clerk, please call the next item.
We have a proposed local law regarding arterial stops in Merrick.
Okay. Any member of the board wish to be heard on this? I do not have any slips on this. Any member of the audience wish to be heard on this? Okay. If not, may I please have a motion?
I move the public hearing be closed and the board adopt the item.
Second.
Supervisor Clavin.
Aye.
Councilman Blakeman.
Hey, Tom.
Councilman Carini.
Aye.
Councilman Diaz-Posito.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn.
Aye.
Senior Councilwoman Gooseby.
Aye.
Councilman Muscarella.
Aye.
Okay. Madam Clerk, please call the next item.
We have a proposed local law regarding U-turns prohibited in Merrick.
A member of the board wish to be heard on this item? Okay, I do not have any slips in. Does anybody else in the audience wish to be heard on item number 4? Okay, if not, may I please have a motion?
I move the public hearing be closed and the board adopt the item.
Second.
Supervisor Clavin.
Aye.
Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman Carini.
Aye.
Councilman Diaz-Posito.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn.
Aye.
Senior Councilwoman Gooseby.
Aye.
Councilman Muscarella.
Aye.
Okay, Madam Clerk, please call the next item.
We have a proposed handicap parking on public streets in Baldwin, Elmont, Franklin Square, Uniondale, Valley Stream, and Wantagh.
Okay, any member of the board wish to be heard on this? Okay, I do not have any slips. Does any member of the public here today wish to be heard on this item? All right, if not, may I please have a motion?
I move. The motion.
Oh.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Senior Councilwoman.
Oh, you go ahead. I'll second it.
Okay.
Let you do it this
I
time.
move that the public hearing be closed and the item adopted.
Second.
Supervisor Clavin.
Aye.
Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman Carini.
Aye.
Councilman D'Esposito. Aye. Councilman Dunn.
Aye.
Senior Councilwoman Gooseby.
Aye.
Councilman Muscarella.
Aye.
Okay, Madam Clerk, please call the next item.
We have a proposed local law regarding school speed limits in Levittown.
Okay, does any member of the board wish to be heard on this item? Okay, I don't have any slips. Does any member of the public here today wish to be heard on this item, number 6? Okay, if not, may I please have a motion?
I move the public hearing be closed and the board adopt this item.
Second.
Supervisor Clavin.
Aye.
Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman Carini.
Aye.
Councilman D'Esposito.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn.
Aye.
Senior Councilwoman Gooseby.
Aye.
Councilman Muscarella.
Aye.
Madam Clerk, please call the next item.
We have a proposed local law regarding traffic regulations in the vicinity of schools in Baldwin and Oceanside.
Okay, I do not have any slips on this. Any member of the board wish to be heard on this? Any member of the public wish to be heard on this? Okay, if not, may I please have a motion?
Supervisor, I move that the public hearing be closed and the proposed local law be adopted.
Second.
Supervisor Clavin.
Aye.
Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman Carini.
Aye.
Councilman D'Esposito.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn.
Aye.
Senior Councilwoman Gooseby.
Aye.
Councilman Muscarella.
Aye.
Madam Clerk, please call the next item.
We have a proposed local law regarding excavations in streets.
Supervisor, I want to remind the board that a number of our utilities who are affected by this have requested that this item be adjourned until the September 9th calendar, at which time there will be several companion or related public hearings also amending the law as it pertains to excavations in streets. It's up to the board. People have come here today, and they can come back on September the 9th, but it was a strong request made from the most affected persons that they all be heard together on September 9th with the other 3 companions.
I move that the item be adjourned
Second the motion.
Adjourn till the September 9th calendar?
September 9th meeting.
Okay.
to the September 9th calendar.
Second.
Supervisor Clavin.
Aye.
Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman Carini.
Aye.
Councilman D'Esposito.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn.
Aye.
Senior Councilwoman Gooseby.
Aye.
Councilman Muscarella.
Aye.
It has been adjourned till September 9th.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. If you'd please call the next item.
We have a proposed local law to amend Chapter 121 of the Code of the Town of Hempstead by renaming Chapter 121 Smoking, Cannabis, and CBD, and by enacting a new Article 3, Section 121-14, prohibiting the sale of Delta-8 tetrahydrocannabinol in the Town of Hempstead.
Okay, first off, does any member of the board wish to be heard on this item? Okay, I do have a slip on this. Felix Procacci. Morning, Mr. Procacci. If you give your name and address for the record, thank you.
Felix Procacci, Franklin Square. This item should be put on the ballot in November to let the residents decide. This law will make no difference in the use of cannabis. All it will do is cause people to purchase it somewhere else. Keeping cannabis illegal to reduce its use has not worked. It hasn't stopped its widespread use. I am not advocating for cannabis dealers. I know Supervisor Clavin may try to twist my words, as he often does when I don't have a chance to respond. I just believe the voters should make the choice to legalize the sale of cannabis in the town, not the politicians. Thank you.
Okay, just so you know, Joe, can you fill Mr. Procacci exactly what this legislation does? Yes. Put your mic on, thank you.
Sorry. Yes, of course, Supervisor. The state of New York has already regulated cannabis with a certain variation of what we're doing here. Limited its use, created a control board, limited its purchase, and limited the use of products and the sale of products that contain cannabis. There was an exception to the state law for the Delta-8 tetrahydrocannabinol, THC, and that exception to the law allowed for Delta-8, which effectively has the same impact on people as the rest of the cannabis that is sold, to be put into items that were sold over the counter, and the state may at some point in the future redress this and close that loophole, but at your request, sir, we were being proactive and banning it in the town of Hempstead in anticipation of the state acting eventually.
And Joe, this goes in relation to what we've seen in the products that some people have sold as Trips Ahoy instead of Chips Ahoy, that are typically marketed to children in really very simple manners that somebody might simply confuse them. And this legislation really is being enacted to protect children. So I would hope that, that's what this is really all about here today, is to stop the sale of these products that could end up in the hands of minors or children in a very unsuspecting way. Mr. Bocacci, I'm sure you've seen that they're marketing this stuff, and it's almost identical to how bags of candy and cookies are. And I know you're a parent too, and I'm a parent, and I'll tell you right now, you really had to take a second glance at it. So in relation to those sales, that's why we came up with this legislation right now. Oh, okay, thank you so much. Anybody else wish to be heard on this item? Sure, if you come on up there and give your name and address for the record.
Diane Madden, Hempstead. So how does this differ from banning certain alcohol and the sales of certain alcohol?
Joe?
Well, Ms. Madden, the state has regulated and, in fact, banned a lot of products through a complex regulatory scheme. What they did, however, is leave this loophole for the Delta 8 tetrahydrocannabinol. I think they realize that that was a loophole that they have to redress. They're not in session right now. We are. And so we're being proactive in redressing it. I don't think it's comparable to alcohol at all, but what we are doing is bringing ourselves in compliance with or consistent with what the state of New York itself did in regulating these products. For the reason the supervisor said, I mean, people are putting the Delta 8 variant and getting around the state restrictions into Trips Ahoy that children think are Chips Ahoy chocolate chip cookies. And their parents innocently believe it too. They don't notice the spelling is slightly different. So it's not comparable to alcohol. It's being consistent with the thrust of the legislation in the state of New York to close a loophole, which we feel is necessary in the town of Hempstead.
Well, I don't necessarily agree with you in terms of picking and choosing which legislation. There are many pieces of legislation that this board could consider. I mean, consumers are hurt every day through puppy mill sales. This board has done nothing about that because their excuse is that, or at least Councilman Blakeman's excuse is he has more concern about the pet store owner than these consumers being sold sick puppies. So I think this board can do a lot more if you're so inclined to protect the public, to look at other things, and also to maybe implement some legislation on yourselves. I haven't seen one piece of good government transparency legislation that we can hold you accountable to. However, you keep passing legislation to hold the public accountable. So I hope that in the next few months, since much of these issues are politically led and campaign influenced, that you will create some good government transparency legislation. I'd like to see that out of this board. It would be very refreshing. Thank you.
Okay, anybody else want to speak on item number 9 here in the public here today? If not, may I please have a motion?
I move the public hearing be closed and the board adopt this item.
Second.
Supervisor Clavin.
Aye.
Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman Carini.
Aye.
Councilman D'Esposito.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn.
Aye.
Senior Councilwoman Gooseby.
Aye.
Councilman Muscarella.
Aye. Madam Clerk, would you please call the next item?
We have a proposed local law regarding play streets by retitling the chapter Closed Streets, replacing the word play with closed, authorizing the Commissioner of Highways to place appropriate signs and devices indicating and protecting closed streets, and adding Ocean Boulevard and Lido Beach as a closed street.
Okay. Any member of the board wish to be heard on this? Okay. I have a number of slips on this. I would start with Lori Berlin. Hi, if you could just come up to the mic and give your name and address for the record. Good morning.
Hi, Lori Berlin. I
Hi.
live at 29 Bath Street, Lido Beach. Good morning.
Morning.
As a resident of Bath Street, I want to speak today about the welfare of all of our families. For our safety, Ocean Boulevard cannot be closed. There will eventually be an accident. Our problem on Bath Street is the flow of traffic, especially on summer weekends in and out of the Marvell Ice Cream Shop, whose entrance is on Lido Boulevard and whose exit is on Bath Street. During high traffic times, it's challenging to pull into Bath Street from Lido Boulevard. In order to avoid the constant flow of cars exiting Bath, I always take a left at Alivard Street and drive home via Ocean Boulevard. If Ocean closes, we are forced to turn right on Bath, thus contributing to the congestion caused by the patrons of Marvell. Again, for the safety of our families, do not ever close Ocean Boulevard. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Berlin. Thank you for coming. Number two, I'm going to have Stephen Schneider. That's great. If you get,
We'll take it.
Ms. Trinkle's going to take it. If you just go to the back there and give your name and address to the record, that'd be awesome. Thank you. Okay, got it.
Okay, my name is Stephen Schneider from Schneider Engineering, 43 Seacliff Avenue, Miller Place, New York, 11764. I actually represent several of the residents of the Lido Dunes in the area. And my major task was just to look at the traffic safety, what would be the best way to handle traffic safety in the area. The report which you have there states basically, I mentioned the main issue, and we're only looking not only for residents and how it affects the residents, but also how it affects people going to the street, so-called outsiders coming from the ice cream stores, etc. Access on the streets can lead to much confusion right now. Some people know that some of the streets are open, some are closed. I actually did a traffic study of accidents that have occurred, and there were 24 more accidents on the streets that had opened ends to the street near the beach on Lido Boulevard, between there and the opening, all the streets that are open. Beyond that, to the east, there was less accidents. So I did determine that there were more accidents at locations when you do have cut-through streets as they are there. In the report, I also talk about the trucks that are going on the street. Most of them are, for today, Amazon trucks, FedEx, etc. And those trucks can actually make turns without a problem. If somebody has to drop something off at a house, they can actually drop it off in the driveway, back out, and go back out, and not go back to Lido, and not go to the end to meander around to other streets. The more traffic you have available, the more confusing the traffic is for people, the less safe it is. Also, the noise, the safety, traffic safety, the security for the neighborhood would be much better served if, in fact, the streets were closed at the end as they are to the east. There was a concern about the fire trucks, and fire trucks would not have a problem because I'm recommending putting up basically ballast, those movable ballasts that that can be gone over by the fire trucks. Then they still can go around on Ocean Avenue, on Ocean Boulevard, so they would not have any problems. Cars, though, would be somewhat restricted to use that. Fire engines, etc., can if they really had to. Also, the road on Ocean Boulevard is very narrow. It's only about 16 to 18 feet, and for trucks and cars to go two directions, there isn't enough room for that. And that's what my study summarizes.
And so we're going to enter this to the record, and just a quick glance, just to acknowledge, I think, do I see the pictures of these proposed cones on this thing?
Yes, you do.
Okay. Thank you very much for coming today. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Supervisor, 1 second. Sir, if you may remain at the podium for just one moment, please. If I understand the synopsis of what you've presented, what you're saying is that the emergency vehicles in an emergency would still be able to utilize if necessary, if there were no alternatives, so that they could perform their function. And the closing the street actually would improve safety. Is that correct?
I'm doing this 50 years, and that's my answer, absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Schneider. Okay.
Mr. Schneider,
Next,
I just
I'm
have
sorry.
one quick question, just to make sure, is this a typo? You visited the site on June 16, 2012? Was that 2000? I thought, okay, thank you.
So why don't we fairly say if that line, the study included point 1 is 2021, not 2012. Okay, all right, no problem. Next I have Michael O'Leary. Okay, that'd be great. She'll hand them up, and if you give a name and address to the record, we appreciate it. Okay. Thank you. Oh, thank you.
Okay, good morning.
Morning.
Supervisor Clavin, Town Council members, my name is Michael O'Leary. I live at 77 Pinehurst Street, Lido Beach, New York. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with regards to the petition to close Ocean Boulevard, case number 15722. The petitioners requesting the closure of Ocean Boulevard have not identified themselves to the community nor been held accountable to explain the benefits that would be gained from closing this street. The petitioners have never discussed this matter in an open public forum where they could explain their proposal, the problems that would warrant closing an important street, and how Ocean Boulevard would look and be used if it were to be closed. This has not been a transparent process, and their repeated attempt to try and push this through the town board when nobody is looking does not sit well with fellow residents. And this petition does not have the support of the majority of the members of the community. The petition seeks to take the extreme step of closing a valuable street because of unsubstantiated dangers. Traffic on Ocean Boulevard is so limited that you can go for hours before a car goes by. This is simply not the problem as described and would require a traffic safety review to document. The closing of Ocean Boulevard is simply a solution in search of a problem. We do not believe the petitioners have proven their case that Ocean Boulevard is a hazard to the safety of our residents. In addition, the community has not been fully informed of the problems closing Ocean Boulevard would solve or how Ocean Boulevard would be used if it were to be closed. We request the town reject this proposal on the basis that the community has not had a chance to become fully informed regarding the merits and results of the proposal. Additionally, Ocean Boulevard provides us with a safe way to exit our neighborhood by allowing us to drive to streets that have traffic lights. Closing Ocean Boulevard will prevent a safe opportunity to access Lido Boulevard without having to cross 3 lanes of traffic. This is a huge safety issue and would only be made worse with the closing of Ocean Boulevard. Our community currently has huge problems with traffic congestion in and around the commercial businesses located in our community. It is our opinion that closing Ocean Boulevard will make the traffic congestion around our local businesses even worse. In summary, we request that this petition to close Ocean Boulevard be rejected since it will create many more safety and congestion problems for residents than it claims to solve and does not have the support of the majority of community residents. Please defer a decision until public forums are held to both inform and solicit the opinions of community residents on the involved streets.
Mr. Lear, I'm going to let you know, because you have the letter, of course, your documents can be made part of the public record, but that's the aspect of having a hearing, is to get the feedback from the residents. And I think at one point was going to be on earlier, but we had so many residents, we had, we wanted to adjourn to give the people the opportunity to be heard in support or against it. So, like I said, that's the idea of the meeting. But I will tell you right now, you almost timed that perfectly down to 3 minutes, but I'm going to make sure that it's fully submitted as part of the record, and I appreciate you coming here today.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
I just need to let you know, though, that we were only informed of this meeting last Friday.
Like I said, Joe, anything to touch on? Because I know this is on the calendar once before.
Sorry, Supervisor. It was on the calendar once before, and for the reasons that you articulated, it was adjourned up until this point. The public hearings are called and notices provided, and that's done not only on our website, but also through publication. So if you weren't able, if you had missed the notice of it, I'm sorry for that, but it was in fact published.
But like I said, Mr. Most importantly, that's the purpose of having the hearings, and we appreciate it. And like I said, your thoughts, your feedback, and what you're saying is being made part of this public record. But we have a number of residents who are going to speak on it, so we're going to go through them all. But thank you very much for coming today.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Catherine Arntensen? Artson, okay. If you can come on up to the podium, give your name and address, thanks. If you just give your name and address for the record, thank you.
Kathy Arnson, 55 Pinehurst Street, Lido Beach. I am against closing the street. I am a resident of Pinehurst Street. I grew up on Pinehurst Street. My elderly parents live on the corner of Pinehurst Street and Ocean Boulevard. Trucks and cars will be backing in and out of their driveway, and I think there's a big safety concern here. There will be increased noise and gatherings, especially on summer nights, which will affect the quality of life to the homes on Ocean Boulevard and into the side streets. There was an incident with some fire trucks on our street yesterday, and I'm not going to bring up the whole thing, except maybe the fire department should comment on the safety issue as far as fires and closing Ocean Boulevard and getting around any kind of thing that you're going to put up there. We need Ocean Boulevard open for use by gardeners, deliveries, utility companies, workers, home maintenance workers, all need to use Ocean Boulevard for their everyday use. Ocean Boulevard is not meant to be a playground and should not be made into one. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for coming this morning. And next I have Samuel Posner. Good morning. If you just give your name and address for the record. Thanks.
Good morning. My name is Samuel Posner. I live at 85 Pinehurst Street in Lido Beach. My wife Susan and I have lived in Lido Beach at this house since 1966. That's 55 years we have lived facing the ocean along Ocean Boulevard. Our property abuts Ocean Boulevard for the entire block from Pinehurst to Harrogate. We have used this street for our safety, for our security. We have observed the street for over 55 years. I challenge the comments that Mr. Schneider made. We have never seen an accident or an incident on Ocean Boulevard in the 55 years that we have lived there. The problem, in addition to the fact that we like the fact that the police drive around from the 4th Precinct, they come around Ocean Boulevard, they keep us more secure. The question of the fire department has been addressed, so I won't elaborate upon that. But a few years ago, the town of Hempstead, or the county, I'm not sure which, put up a median divide along Lido Boulevard. As a result of that median divide, it has become almost impossible for the residents of streets such as Pinehurst Street that have no traffic light at Lido Boulevard to get in and out of the community. So what we have to do is go to Ocean Boulevard, continue on Ocean Boulevard if we're going east to Harrogate Street, and then proceed to the light at Harrogate and Lido Boulevard, and then safely leave the community. And if we're heading west to Long Beach, we go along Ocean Boulevard to Alivard Street, and then continue to the light at Alivard and Lido Boulevard, and then safely continue out of the community. It would be horrendous for those of us who are seniors to try and get in and out of this community if there were no access to Ocean Boulevard. A number of years ago, this is a personal matter, I was sitting at the dinner table and collapsed. My wife could not revive me. She quickly called 911. Fortunately for me, Jim Burke, who was the head of lifeguards and a volunteer, you know him?
Yeah, I know Jim Burke, yeah, absolutely.
Right, was a terrific guy and a volunteer fireman. Jim lived on Alivard, one house in from Ocean Boulevard. He hopped into his car, he sped down Ocean Boulevard to my house before the police came, before the fire department came, before the ambulance came. Jim was able to administer emergency CPR and saved my life. I never want to see Ocean Boulevard closed, and I respectfully request that you deny the requests from these people who want to just turn it into a playground.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Posner. Good reference to Mr. Burke. Long time. I'm surprised the bear didn't show up with him. Next, I have Pat Ligori. Good morning. If you give your name and address for the record.
Sure. Pat Ligori, 33 Bath Street, Lido Beach. The reason we're all here is because a petition was circulated that basically stipulates that Ocean Boulevard is unsafe. As you well know, petitions are inherently biased documents. They make a statement, and those people who agree with the statement are the ones who sign it. If 100 people sign it, you may think that's great, but unless you know how many people exist in the total pool that would be affected by the petition, you really know nothing. If 100 people sign it and there are only 100 people, it's a unanimous decision. If 100 people sign it and there are 300 people, it's not a unanimous, it's not even a majority. So I submit to you that the petition should not carry any weight in your decision on this matter. I'd like to comment on the traffic study. There may well have been 24 accidents on Lido Boulevard, but what the gentleman neglected to mention is whether or not they occurred where there are 4 businesses. And the west end of the dunes, Alivard, Bath, Buxton, and Cheltenham, all have businesses. So while he says there are more accidents there, I submit to you that it's because of the additional traffic that is drawn into the businesses. I submitted an email to Supervisor Clavin and Councilman Carini, which I'm not going to read. Instead, what I want to point out is my neighbor, Delia Guazzo from 38 Bath Street, submitted a letter to Supervisor Clavin and Councilman Carini that basically states that you do not have the authority to close the street. I draw to your attention the fact that to designate Ocean Boulevard as a closed street is outside the legal power of the town of Hempstead to grant. Thus, any such amendments is ultra vires and subject to challenge under Article 78 as an arbitrary and capricious act. In the absence of specific statutory authority, a municipality, town, or village may not close off one of its streets. No such authority exists. She cites further examples. There are multiple pages. I have a copy I will leave you with. I will also leave you with a few copies of what I was going to state. Basically, I respectfully request that you reject the proposal to close Ocean Boulevard.
Thank you. Just so you know, I did actually see that email last night, and both yours and that email received last night we made part of the record.
And I also want to comment that my office, we have seen multiple emails on both sides of the fact, and we are going to be submitting it to record as well, every email that was sent to my office.
Mr. Posner, just for clarification, Lido Boulevard was done by Nassau County, and I've already received a couple of texts from lifeguards. I really appreciate the reference to Jimmy Burke, and Anthony actually said that he certified you as a lifeguard. What do you do? Ocean Lifeguard. Ocean Lifeguard, so good reference there. I like that one a lot. So next I have Pat Roach. No? Okay. Amy Durloff? How we doing? If you give me name and address to the record, okay?
Amy Deeroff, 31 Harrogate Street.
Okay.
Thank you for allowing me to speak today at this open forum to discuss the closure of Ocean Boulevard. I grew up at 333 Lido Boulevard, bought my first house at 359 Lido Boulevard. I moved across the street to 31 Harrogate Street in the hope to come off the boulevard. While I don't find Ocean Boulevard to be dangerous, I will tell you that Harrogate Street is dangerous. Nor do I tell you I'd like my children, I have a 6 and a 7-year-old, Isla and Dylan, and while I do not allow them to play in the street, there is no access to a park near our house during the summer, during the day, so we do a lot of playing on our front lawn, and we have a side lawn that goes to the street. So anytime a ball goes in the street or they're scootering on the sidewalk, there is a risk. I am at the end of the Ocean Boulevard exit, so if you come down from the ice cream stand and you come around, you certainly come up my block, and there are constantly cars coming through, and they are not residents, and they are not emergency vehicles. In fact, on Saturday at around 5 p.m., 21 cars came down my block, and only one was my neighbor who was going out to dinner. People are eating ice cream and ignoring and texting and driving up my block. Or they're simply racing to make the light. And while I feel for my residents on Pinehurst Street, Harrogate Street is not meant to be a through street. You're not meant to utilize that to exit your street. You're meant to exit off Pinehurst, as I did when I lived on 359 Lido Boulevard and had to cross the 3 lanes over on Lido Boulevard to make a U-turn, if I was heading towards Point Lookout. And there is no police presence in the Lido Dunes to monitor the speed or who is accessing the neighborhood. The argument that we need to access, because those streets, if there are accidents, the majority of the dunes is closed, as is where I work down in the west end of Long Beach, where their street is also closed. People are very passionate about this, and a lot of people that are passionate about it don't live in that area. And I feel that as a resident of that area, my beliefs and the safety of my children come first. I bought my house knowing that it was a through street, so I certainly won't sell based on the decision. As many of the people who live here near the deli and near Marvell on Bass Street knew where they were buying their house around local businesses that would make it challenging for parking, and movement did. I hope that you will consider the safety security of my Isla and my Dylan and the other children that live in the neighborhood, knowing that there are options available for the fire and police department to access the street if necessary. Thank you for your time.
Okay. Thank you very much for coming. Next I have Linda Weiss.
Good morning. I'm Linda Weiss from 5 Bath Street.
Can you just give your name and address? That's awesome. Thank you.
Yep. I don't want to repeat or rehash everything that my neighbors have said. I just want to add my continued concern about the close of Ocean Boulevard, along with the rest of, or the majority of my neighbors. The most impacted streets are the 3 streets. I'm sorry, it'd probably be a little easier if I remove my mask. The most impacted streets by this decision are the 3 streets around the businesses. And again, I think you've heard this before, but I want to reiterate that those of us that live on those 3 streets, Alvard, Bath, and Buxton, we receive the majority of the traffic coming from those businesses. With Ocean Boulevard closed, and my neighbor has a beautiful sign so you could really visualize what this looks like. With Ocean Boulevard closed and no access out, all that will happen is it will push the traffic down to the back end of our streets, and people will be forced to U-turn, again, creating tremendous safety issues for us, our families, our children, our grandchildren, our dogs. It becomes a really difficult situation for us. This issue has been brought up before in the past. It has been tabled and declined for those safety issues. So as much as in the summer months, traffic is increased on Ocean Boulevard with those people from the businesses from out of town leaving, it's at least diffused among several blocks versus now pushing it down to the 3 blocks that are most directly impacted. So please, I urge you to not approve this change and to let our residents be the way that we have been. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for coming down here today. Amy Durloff? Okay. Yep. Jane Stein. Good morning. If you give your name and address of the record, that'd be awesome.
Good morning. My name is Jane Stein. I live at 63 Bath Street on the corner of Bath and Ocean. This is the sign she's referring to. In case for those of you who are not familiar with the area, there are 6 streets that abut Ocean. And these 3 here, Alivard, Bath, and Buxton, are commercial. We have different kind of traffic than is on other streets. There's not only vehicular traffic, there are pedestrians, dog walkers, strollers, bikes. Having many cars have to make U-turns instead of accessing the other streets where there are lights. Excuse me, there are 3 lights, one here, and one here to get out is not safe. I have here some documents. I have a petition signed by 38 people on the affected streets only, representing 30 households. I'll just hand this to you. Opposing this change. I also have a further copy of the, I'm sorry if you want this. This is the thing that Delia Guazzo had found, and also here are a summary of the points that's new. We also have some photographs of what happens at the end of Bath Street. Where I live, there are certain hours of the day where if I couldn't access Harrogate Street or Alivard or Pinehurst, I would be stuck. Because in spite of many signs that say no parking, no turn, people park at the end. I'm just going to run in and get my ice cream and get out. So you can't get in or out. So now, instead of being able to go down further to a street that doesn't have commercial district on it, I would have to stop on Lido Boulevard, wait for a car to turn out instead of bypassing it. We residents know that there are certain times when it's not a good time to do it. We strongly hope that you will reject this and let the traffic go in a forward motion instead of many, many U-turns in the middle of the streets. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. And I have a copy of the petition and the letters, and we'll make that part of the record too, okay?
All right, I don't know if this would be helpful to the people who are not familiar with it, but these are some photographs of what happens.
You want to submit them? Submit them. We'll take them.
Sure.
Okay. Thank you.
I'm sorry.
That's all right. Thanks, Ms. Stein. Next, I have Richard Corbett. Thank you. Good morning. If you can name the address for the record.
Morning, Mr. Supervisor. My name is Richard Corbett. I live at 116 Regent Drive. I actually live on the other side of Lido Boulevard. This is my first time speaking at a town council meeting, so I'm a little nervous, so please forgive me. First, I want to thank Councilman Carini. He's always been available for anything that I've ever asked of him. I'm relatively new to the community, and I'd also like to thank Councilman D'Esposito. He takes care of the adjoining districts, and he's always available to assist me as well. Quick background, I've worked in for the government. I've been in the traffic division for over 32 years. I'm also an ex-chief of one of the volunteer fire departments. I also represent the Nassau County 2nd Battalion as its chairman. So I just want to bring up a couple of points. My first point is, if there's ever an accident on Lido Boulevard, a major accident where many lanes get closed, Ocean Boulevard needs to be used to get some egress in and out of the community, so for an emergency situation. I heard the accident statistics provided by the gentleman from before, but I would trust if the town of Hempstead would get a real accident, an official accident study done to get numbers to provide the community. Also, with the closing of Ocean Boulevard, even the traffic experts will agree that the more three-point turns you put on a narrow block, the better chance of having an accident, whether it be with a car, a pedestrian, or someone's property. A lot of people are putting up that third-story house, and in the community I live in, some of the dead-end blocks, a lot of houses are getting hit by people doing three-point turns, especially the FedEx, Amazon, and UPS trucks. Speaking of the fire apparatus, the placement of fire trucks, there's talk of collapsible batons or what have you. If you're driving a ladder truck that's about 40 feet long, your concern isn't for worrying about a bollard or a collapsible baton. You're worried about where you're going to put the truck to raise the ladder up to a window where somebody is hanging out of on fire. We shouldn't have to worry about placing our trucks around obstacles in the road. Also, those narrow blocks, if there is some apparatus on the road, we have to be able to come in from the other side to get additional resources in. Just recently, Ocean Boulevard and 9 of the 16 streets were repaved for the residents' benefit. I don't know what the cost was for that, but I don't think it's fair that the town of Hempstead spends our tax dollars and all of a sudden we're going to shut down one of the main thoroughfares for that. There are 3 businesses and 1 law office in our very small business district. These people employ local residents and community members, and I would hate to see that our businesses get affected.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Corber. We appreciate you coming down. If you want to supplement any way, you can send an email, and we'll keep it open and make it part of the record. We do appreciate you coming down here today.
Can I just bring up one more point?
Respectfully, we ask people 3 minutes, and
thank you, sir. I appreciate
some people, they get a little upset. So, like I said, if you want to send it in the email today or later on today, we'll make sure it's public record, okay?
I'll make sure Mr. Carini gets that.
Thank you very much. Very grateful.
Thank you for your service, too, for being a first responder, volunteer firefighter. Thank you.
Next, I have Jeremy Thornton. Good morning. If you give your name and address for the record, thank you.
Morning. My name is Jeremy Thornton. I live at 17 Bath Street in Lido Beach. Thank you again for having this hearing today. A couple of items that I want to just go a little ad hoc on. You've heard almost everybody who came up and speak about being against closing Ocean Boulevard, saying the reason why they need to do it is because they want to egress on other blocks, which is actually creating the majority of the problem. Has changed and evolved since I've lived in Lido, which is since 1999. More traffic is now being driven down side streets, which, as you know, as a town board, is something that you would always discourage when a business to send traffic out down those side streets. And I think it's really critical that that was acknowledged by many of the residents who wish to keep Ocean Boulevard open. It's because they want themselves, others, and commercial traffic to drive up and down blocks. By closing Ocean Boulevard, it's very simple, and I live the closest to Marvell and have people that park out there. One of the key points of closing the boulevard is actually you're resolving that redundancy of people driving up and down the blocks multiple times. When you have dead end signs and you have the road closed off, people will see and learn that, and they won't be driving down those blocks anymore. By not addressing the real issues, which on some streets may be a light like Pinehurst that they would like to have to go across and egress, or resolving the issue of parking on Bath Street, that's not a reason to not close Ocean to keep the other streets safer. I was one of the people who walked around, and many of the people were made aware and voiced their concerns at the time when we walked around with the petitions. You have in your possession signatures from over 100 residents. Many of those residents on blocks like Alivard, like Harrogate, and the other blocks that have lights. It's really important. It's really important to. I appreciate the fire commission that came up. I actually went and met with the fire commissioners and spoke to them about closing the road. The fire commissioners self-admitted they do not have control or responsibility for closing the road. If the road is closed, they'll react to the closure of the road appropriately, and they said they would work with the town on having appropriate devices. Mr. Schneider was kind enough to serve up some devices that can either be temporary or permanently affixed, so that only the fire department and only emergency vehicles would actually have control of that road. And if you've been down to Ocean Boulevard is only 15 feet wide. So a fire truck and another car cannot pass on Ocean Boulevard. It creates a very unsafe situation. I know there's other residents that have expertise in the fire department, and they're going to come up and speak to that. But you cannot pass a fire truck if there is any other vehicle on the road today. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Thornton. Thank you very much for coming down today. If you want to supplement in any way, just please send an email today. Next, I have Glenn Harris. Good morning, Mr. Harris. If you give me name and address for the record, that'd be great.
Glenn Harris, 5 Buxton Street, Lido Beach. I've been a New York City fireman for 42 years, a lieutenant for 38 of them. And I lived in Lido Beach for over 60 years. I had a house on my parents' 409 Lido Boulevard. I had a house renovated a house on Lucian Street, which was one of the dead-end streets. And now I live on 5 Buxton, which is right behind the deli. I'm the closest to anybody for the parking. The problem is Lido Boulevard. 70% of the traffic now is coming up the block, heading north to the commercial traffic, not south. And most dangerous accidents are from left-hand turns, not from three-point turns. And that's part of the problem with Lido Boulevard is, and they closed the divider so that people can't make that left turn. Another point was the most important at a fire situation is to get the engine company in with the hose and the water, not a ladder company. And in the city, narrow streets, cul-de-sacs, the most important thing, we keep the ladder trucks out of the block to make sure the first engine gets in to start water on the fire. I just, and the safety for the kids, people coming up the block, since they put the divider in, I would say it's almost threefold the amount of traffic on these side streets. And on the dead-end streets, you don't have this amount of traffic. So it would be safer for the kids and the residents.
Okay.
Thank you for your...
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Harris. Thanks for coming today. I don't have any other slips on number 10. Is there anybody else in the audience that would like to speak on item number 10? Great. If you just go on up to the podium there and give your name and address for the record, that'd be awesome.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Gregory Nahum.
355 Blackheath Road, Lido Beach, New York. I really don't want to speak. I am a fire commissioner, Lido Point Lookout, and I have the chief's letter, and we support the chief's letter, and I just want to get the chief's letter into the record.
Okay. Thank you very much. We'll make it part of the record. Thank you very much for coming and bringing it. I don't know. I haven't seen it yet. So. Okay. Thank you. Do you have a signed copy of this letter? Do you have a signed copy of the letter? Yeah, because it's a submission, but it doesn't have a signature on it, so I just want to. No, if he can email, I think you need a signed copy. Jack, was Jack Libbert? Yes, sir. Come on a second. Yeah, no, if you're going to do a submission and put it on letterhead, it's got to, you got to have a signed letter. Anybody could submit a letter, unsigned saying it. So, but hold on, I asked my chief of staff, former Supreme Court Judge Jack Libbert, to address that. If he did, then it's in the record. But like I said, I don't know if the first one was signed either. What? We'll have to find out. But anyway, Chief.
Yes. As you said, the unsigned letter is not something we want to put on the record. I defer to our town attorney on that, but I think it needs, in order to be competent, it needs a signature on it. So if you could do that.
Cool. That's awesome. Like I said, you could.
I just wanted to add, Supervisor and members of the board, a couple of you know about it. We met with the commissioners, a couple of the commissioners of the department, including the chairman. They indicated with these foldable, what do you call it, foldable baluster bayonet, that this would not be a problem for firematics. So, thank you.
Thank you, Chief. And like I said, but if you can reach out and have him submit a signed letter, there we go. I don't have any other slips. Does anybody else wish to be heard on this matter? Okay, if you go up to the back podium and give your name and address, please. Thank you.
My name is Julie Deeroff, and I live at 333 Lido Boulevard. I've lived in Lido Beach for 60 years in further on down the block, and I have noticed that over the years there is an extreme amount of traffic coming up these side streets. The streets are really made for the residents only, and to have these other businesses having people, use the Ocean Boulevard to access some of these other streets is totally unnecessary. And I am in favor of closing Ocean Boulevard for the safety of our residents. Thank you very much. Okay,
thank you very much. No other slips. Does anybody else wish to be heard on this? Okay. If not, I'm going to say, can we just take a 5-minute recess? Is that okay with everybody? Okay, thank you.